What's up, guys? Mason the Bronc Henderson here, and this is Batwoman Season 2, Episode 10, Time Up for Good Behavior. So first of all, I'm going to talk about something that I've neglected to talk about so far because I keep forgetting because there's so much other shit to talk about. The crow's nest, right? It's supposed to be a very secure place, right? How come so many people keep sneaking in there undetected? Can we talk about that? Because this is what, the fourth or fifth time that somebody snuck in undetected and snuck into the back of somebody's car inside their parking garage? You know, for a what's supposed to be essentially a security team, it feels like their security is very, very easily beaten. And for one, if it's Alice, that's up in the air because they try to make Alice seem like she's smarter than everybody else, so she can probably easily outwit the security system, blah, 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 blah. But the false face gang? These random guys in the false face gang? They're just getting into the parking garage no problem? How? Why is nobody making sure that the garage is secure so that way when they go out to their cars, they don't have to worry about somebody being in the back seat? Because this is happening very often this season. And this is the one, just, I don't know, the fact that they got into Jacob's car, in the back of his car. I don't know. Like, I guess they want to show how incompetent the crows are, but they don't seem that incompetent. They don't seem like the GCPD, and yet here we are. So anyway, just something I've missed talking about all season, but this one I'm like, I need to remember to bring this up because this is multiple times this is happening now. It's ridiculous. The case for this episode is just whatever. It's more of them trying to paint, basically how the system works in a bad light. And on one hand, not totally wrong, but on the other hand, you're also, again, you're preaching to people who already agree with you. And anybody who doesn't, not watching your show. So we're spending more time preaching on stuff. Oh yeah, the system is set up for all these unprivileged kids to go to prison, and see, even the prison directors are setting it up so that way. Yeah, okay. Just go ahead, keep painting everybody who's not underprivileged. Keep painting them all and just this. They're all evil. Everybody is against us. I get it. I get it. Yeah. Just keep talking about it. Keep ignoring any semblance of a plot, any semblance of good writing, just to focus on your message. Go ahead. Yeah. Let's see. Luke all of a sudden showing up to save her at the end was really weird, too. Because one, Luke it doesn't really seem like the type of person who would be in the field. But also, how did he get there so fast? Just, he's in the Batcave, and she's about to get hit with these 3 lightning guns, and then all of a sudden, like 2 minutes later, he's there. And as far as I know, I mean, she's normally the one taking the Batmobile, so do you take the Bat Cycle? Do you take the Bat Tube all the way over there? Is it? Please explain how he did that, please, because my God. The amount of times that this show does stuff or has a character do something off screen that never gets explained, it's ridiculous. It's annoying. Especially in the moments whenever a character doesn't get there in time. And why didn't they get there in time? You show apparently Luke can get across the town in a matter of 2 minutes with no explanation. So then how come they always can't just show up in the matter of 2 minutes with no explanation? What else? Julia, she goes to see Dr. Rhyme, which I may be wrong about this because obviously I've not really enjoyed the show, so my brain has not been retaining all the stuff that I've been seeing. Is this the first time we've heard of Dr. Rhyme being utilized by the Crows? Like, obviously we saw her as Enigma hanging out with Black Mask. This is the first time I've even heard her mentioned about being the snakebite expert that the Crows have been using. When did this happen? Did I miss this, or are they literally just throwing her in now because they want her to be relevant? And so she's been working with the Crows apparently for a while. So that's, I'm not going to go back and look, but if anybody happens to be watching this and hears this question and knows the answer, please let me know, because I'm not interested enough to figure out if the writing is even worse than I already think it is. But yeah, Julia and Alice's whole thing, Alice is still just the same. You know, so some of the stuff they have, or I'm assuming it's the actress, right? Because there are some things that I'm thinking there's no way a director actually said do that and thought it was a good idea. So I feel like they're just kind of letting the actress do whatever she thinks is crazy, and they're just like, "Ooh, this is great! You're doing a fantastic job." And meanwhile, anybody who knows what good acting and good crazy acting is watching her going, what the hell are you doing? Oh yes, let me achoo, put it back in the box because, ooh, I'm crazy and I'm gonna go like this, and then whenever I pull out the thing, I'm gonna, because I don't know, she's seen people act that way before whenever they're being goofy crazy, and she's like, I can do that too. And she's the only goofy person on the show. Everybody else is acting normal or seems actually crazy. But yeah, Jacob's whole story just kind of dumb. You know, they inject him. Apparently, he gets addicted, and then for some reason, Sionis shows up, gives him a thing of snakebite, and nothing clicks in his mind. And again, the writing in the show is so bad, and I know part of that is because I am rewatching Justified and I'm seeing what good writing is. I just imagine any character, like any of the smarter characters on Justified, because obviously I had their stupid ones. Any of the smarter characters, like some guy comes in and is like, hey, yeah, I just found this drug that you've been looking for. I don't know, I found it in one of my guys' lockers, and I thought, this might be that snakebite stuff. Could you look at it? Is this, let me hand it to you, who just so happens to also be dealing with it. Not that I don't know that. I don't know. But yeah, here, take this. I'm just going to give it directly to you. I could give it to anybody, but I'm going to give it directly to you, okay? All right, thank you. I'm not suspicious at all. And of course, Jacob's like, oh yeah, this is definitely it. I want some of that stuff. Okay, everybody's an idiot on the show, except for apparently the bad guys. And that's not interesting. It's not interesting to have your good guys be so dumb and be so easily fooled by everything and easily beaten by everything. Batwoman, and she gets knocked down at the end of this and she nearly dies if Luke doesn't save her. But she's never winning the fight on her own, it feels like. And I get that this show wants to try to show the value of a team and working together with people. At the same time, if you can't win a single fight, you're not going to be that interesting as a hero. And there's no reason why anybody's going to root for you as a hero, because all we see is you constantly getting your ass kicked. And then the whole social media thing, I've not mentioned this either, but that whole thing is so annoying. I know it's probably directed at the younger audiences because CW is for young adults, and I'm not an old adult, but I'm not a young adult either, somewhere in between. And I'm just watching this and going, this is not interesting at all. Her getting up in the camera's face, Black Mask, I'm coming for you. Oh, you just blew up the internet? Yeah. The only thing you were missing was a mic drop. Shut up. You guys are so annoying. And this is exactly what I was talking about when I just did my first Supergirl review of that season. That show, it can get annoying, but there are times when it's funny how bad it is. This show, it doesn't even get funny bad. It's just bad. And it's so constantly just bad that it's really grating on my nerves. And again, this whole writing team thinks they're writing this masterpiece, and the music people, they think they're really bringing in this heavy emotion and all of this. The editing at the end as well, just something that popped back in my head. Of course, Vesper Fairchild, because she is just the worst thing on the show, in my opinion. But as she's given her final thoughts about Batwoman and locking up the prison guy or whatever, they're cutting between all of these different pictures of the city for a good 30 seconds. And it's quick cuts, less than a second. I swear they were trying to drive people insane. Or they were trying to do something. I don't know what it was. but the way they were cutting, I'm like, are you trying to, like, like, I don't know, hypnotize people, like flashing images and like throwing it into our mind? Our show is good. I don't know, but there's just so much about the show that is really awful. Yeah, I think that's it for this first one. Collecting myself. On to the next one. Here we go. Episode 11, Arrive Alive. I'll be honest, this one honestly was not nearly as bad as the other ones. There wasn't really anything extremely stupid. There are still some stupid moments, like the fact that, essentially Sophie planned this whole thing, didn't bother to mention it at all to Batwoman, and then gets pissed at her whenever she messes up the op that nobody bothered to even mention. Like, hey, we've got a plan, just don't mess with it. Don't mess with anything that you find. But no, just nobody talks, the plan gets messed up, and everybody's pissed at everybody else, and it's just all set up for bullshit, drama, and problems, and but the rest of it was just all kind of, Ryan goes in to decide, like, she's like, I can drive, even though not really seeing any evidence that she can, but sure, whatever, she can do all of it now. Obviously, they do put the Batmobile AI in there as well. I will say the fact that they left whatever that, I guess there was communication device, they just left that in the car for Sophie to find. Really careless and stupid. Apparently also, blood at the scene, which I guess was from Batwoman when she took the hit. At least I think that's the case. So I guess this one guy who's leading the task force against Black Mask, he's about to figure out who Batwoman is now too. But yeah, I don't know. Just a lot of blandness. Honestly, the most exciting thing about this episode was while I was watching it, I found out that Elijah Wood and Sean Astin got announced for Dragon Con this year. So I'll get to see them. I don't know if I'll be able to actually talk to them at all, because, God, their lines are going to be insane. But that's the only thing I took away from this episode. That tells you anything about how I felt about it. Everything to do with Alice was just bland and boring. This whole... They're trying to make us care about it, about her for some reason, and I don't. And then the fact that just so happens that Ocean pieces together that she's there with Enigma is so coincidental, and of course then they have to show them remembering all these scenes that we've seen 3 times now. It just feels like filler to me. So, yeah. Just not the worst, not a terrible episode compared to some of the other ones. Just bland. And honestly, I feel like it's probably better that I don't remember a lot of the episode and a lot of the details, because I feel like when I remember the details, that's when I know that they did something really stupid. So, kind of one of those silver linings things. But anyways, I know this was a bit of a shorter one, but I don't really have any other thoughts really about how the rest of the episode went. So on to the final of these 3 episodes. I'll see you there. And finally, episode 12, Initiate Self-Destruct. God, I wish it was just that simple. Like, you just press the button on this show and it just implodes and goes away and never comes back. But alas, we're here for another season and a half. So this one, back to form. A lot of really stupid stuff that was very painful. First of all, just everything with Alice and Ryan throughout most of this was ridiculous. I mean, again, trying to make Alice a sympathetic character already doesn't make sense, but then you have all these moments where she's trying to connect with Ryan for some reason, and Ryan is just letting her, and they're having like this communication about why they're both doing this, and it's ridiculous. I mean, why? Who cares? Because ultimately at the end, guess what? Ryan has a chance to save her and doesn't, because that's our hero, ladies and gentlemen. She's willing to let this woman die. It doesn't matter that her mom was killed by this woman's gang. And even whenever she finds out that Alice does, and obviously, in the last episode, Alice did talk about, like, she's a manipulator, so she probably could just be saying that she remembers, but really she only just vaguely remembers, but she doesn't really care. But even in that moment, I mean, Ryan still has the chance to save her, which, by the way, that whole scene was stupid. Like, you've got Kate pinning her down onto the thing, like, with one hand, and she's just standing there as Ryan and Alice are, like, talking to each other. Just, like, looking back and forth between them as they're talking. I'm like, what is happening in this scene? Like, Ryan's just standing there, like, all right, yeah, I'm just going to stand here. And Alice is sitting there, hand on her throat, trying, but not doing anything for some reason. And then Kate, again, just standing over top of her, not really choking her, just sort of pushing her down. And then once Ryan leaves, that's when she other hand down and starts to actually choke her. But then, of course, doesn't kill her because as much as I would like for that to happen, of course they're not going to kill off Beth, especially at this point with Kate coming back into it, even though she's been brainwashed to think she's Sionis's daughter or whatever. Of course they're not going to kill Beth off. I did find it very funny, though, that they were like, sorry about the what was it? Something to do with there was some sort of throat muscle or whatever, something to do with the voice, essentially, because I guess, obviously they had to recast since Ruby Rose wasn't on the show anymore. But it's like they just threw it in, like, sorry, it was so damaged, we couldn't fully repair it, so sorry about the voice. And I don't know, something about that just, it sounds like one of those things that you can tell is forced in there because they know that we know that this is not the same actress playing her. So, burned face, her throat is messed up to the point where her voice sounds different. It's just like, okay, I mean, sure. You could have just written her out of the show, but no, we have to have her still in there because, I don't know. I don't know why. Your show was so bad that your main actress didn't want to return for it. At least I don't know exactly the reason why, but I would assume that's the reason why. Like, it's so bad, she didn't want to come back, and then instead of just writing her character off and bringing somebody else in, you just had to keep her character on the show and just be like, no, she's still alive. Her face has been burned. Her throat has been burned. Like, just find something. No, whatever. Sophie having to be the one to delete Ryan's DNA. And, again, it's one of those things where Batman... I know Batman and Batwoman are not supposed to be the same character, but Batman, he was just so good at making sure there were no loose ends. His identity was constantly under wraps. It feels like most of these CW shows, they are so loose with the main character's secret identity. It's so easy to figure out. Sophie figured it out last episode. The thing, I mean, you think about the fact that Ryan, and Angelique are so close, and they don't even talk about that one scene where she showed up on Angelique's balcony calling her Angie, and she can't put two and two together. It's so easy. She gets blood at the scene and doesn't think to clean it up. I mean, how simple is it to figure out who this Batwoman is, and yet it always takes these chance things. It's like, oh, almost figured it out. Like, how did nobody else figure this out? Again, Sophie has known her forever and somehow can't piece together who it is. Angie, who dated her, who should know what the bottom part of her face looks like, on top of that, randomly shows up on her balcony calling her Angie. And how many black women do you know that also know martial arts, that knows your name is Angie and would call you Angie? Like, two and two. Again, can you put it together? And then, of course, at the end of it, they managed to save Ocean and Angelique. And just the whole Ryan and Angelique thing, they're still clearly trying to show them as like, oh, they have feelings for each other, guys. This is so cute. Again, this is a toxic-ass relationship. I don't even care about it, but my God. You think about just everything to do with what they've been through and everything Angie has done in the process, and even though I don't care, the fact that the show seems to be promoting that, no, guys, this is an adorable, cute relationship. The girl is literally a drug slinger. She used to be a drug user. She went back to that life, even though her girlfriend basically bit the bullet for her. She didn't care about that. She went right back into the life and started selling it instead of using it. And then once her girlfriend tried to step in and help, she dumped her and immediately was with another girl, almost like probably a few nights later. And I don't know, just all of this, I'm thinking, okay, so clearly Angie is a terrible person. And this relationship for Ryan is not what she needs. Don't care about any of this. I don't care about the relationships on the show. However, I can see whenever a relationship is a bad one. And when you're pushing that relationship, when you're pushing it, making it seem like, no, this is a good relationship, that's where I have to say, no, I'm drawing the line. I will talk about it only because I want to make sure people know this is not a good relationship. This is not one that is cute, that's adorable, that's, oh, look at them, they love each other. No. That's not the case here. I mean, this is awful. Angelique is an awful person. Ryan, she's also pretty bad too. Again, considering she was willing to let Alice die at the end of this episode, despite the fact that she's a hero. They're supposed to be a hero. Like, they're both awful people, and while Ryan is slightly better than Angie, trying to make it seem like Angie is the right one for her, is her perfect match, it's dumb. It's promoting toxicity in relationships. And that is why I have to mention it and say this is dumb. This is stupid. It's terrible writing. It's terrible, terrible message to put out there, really. And unfortunately, I don't know how many people watched this show. I don't know how many people, saw this relationship and thought it was good. But I mean, with how many awful relationships exist in our world today, this is just another one that kind of goes to show. And honestly, yeah, I've talked about this before, but the CW does do a very poor job of showing good relationships. Aside from Barry and Iris, I don't know why the name escaped me for a second. Aside from Barry and Iris, and I would say there are a couple just sprinkled in throughout that are okay. I think Sarah and Ava are fine. I think Cisco and Camilla, and Cisco and the other girl that could jump in between dimensions. There are those that are fine. Barry and Iris, I think, is a good relationship. Everybody else, though, all of the ones that start with them bickering and then it leads to love, all of those relationships are just awful. Like, they really are. And I don't understand why they think that this makes good romance stories, because it doesn't. Like, I can't stand it. I'm a romantic. I don't really like romance stories because most of the time I think they're overdone and very cheesy. But I am a romantic. I do love romance, and I love the idea of romance. I do like hearing cute little stories that, a couple will do for each other. I do enjoy that shit. But when I see this stuff and they're trying to play this off as like, oh, they love each other, guys. Look at the little pinky promise at the end, and that is not romance. That is not love. That is movie version of romance. That is toxic romance. And I don't know. Again, I didn't think I'd be talking about relationships this much in this show, but this one especially between Ryan and Angie is just really bad. Really, really bad. So, yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. I don't think there was anything else. Obviously, Alice is with Sionis at the end. Sophie does see the, what's called snake bite in Jacob's office, so that's something I guess we'll be building up next. I will say the fact that Mary, who understands a lot about medicine and the health world, the medical world, the fact that she didn't notice something was off about her dad when it's very clear that there was something. I mean, even just the fact that he was just like, oh yeah, that's not plugged in. All right, well, you're good to go, so I'll see you later, and just sort of pieces out real quick. I feel like that should have been something she picked up on, knowing that she understands a lot about the medical world, and she should sense that something is weird here, but of course she doesn't. But yeah, I don't know. I still don't really understand. I'm guessing because I'm pretty sure it's common knowledge now that Kate Kane was Batwoman. And so maybe Sionis is doing this to punish Jacob as well, since he's her dad. So maybe because of that connection because Batwoman supposedly killed his daughter. Maybe that's why he's going after him. But they still haven't really dug into that too much. But yeah, I mean it's all bad. And again, it's not even really fun bad most of the time. Most of the time it's just painful. So still here, I'm still staying. Yeah. Losing my mind kind of, but it's fine. So that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these 3 episodes? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe. Future Batwoman reviews. And I will see you guys at the next one, unfortunately. Peace out.